Hi, here it's Luis Souza from rawveganpower.com, and I'm very pleased to say that we have a very special guest today, Tarah Millen from 40belowfruit.com. We are in her blog now here, and you can see all the great stuff that she has. And she just launched a very interesting book, Sweet and Sexy Spring Cleanse, 14 Days to a Vibrant New You. It's brand new, and I'm so happy that we have her here today launching her book. She also has the YouTube channel, 40 Below Fruity, with lots of fantastic videos if you want to know something about the raw food diet, especially if you live in cold climates. And I'm very impressed because she makes some videos in a bikini and there is snow behind her, as you can see here. You see? Well, after this little introduction, I'm going to change here to my face again. And welcome.
Thank you very much for having me.
I'm very proud to have you here, Tarah Millen. It's so cool. It's so cool in literally, you know.
Absolutely. I love that you showed the shots of me in my bikini in the winter. It's pretty chilly actually doing that, but
yeah, I was wondering if you did that regularly.
Yeah. No, not if I can avoid it. It's special to the videos. I don't make it a winter practice to go out in my bikini, that's for sure. A little too cold for that.
Yeah. Well, tell us something about your story and how did you start being a vegan and then a raw vegan, please?
Well, I became a vegan about 5 years ago, and it was actually a book that I read. It was called Skinny Bitch, and I was just your average normal person, and I found this book at the bookstore, and at first I thought it was just a way to get skinny, because that was my whole focus, was just to lose weight, because I was about 35 pounds overweight and I just didn't feel very good. And I bought it, and it just blew everything I thought before then. It blew my whole world apart, because I knew nothing about how animals were treated, and to be honest, I didn't care either. So it was a real transformation for me to finally have my eyes open to what goes on in factory farms and to learn about the health. Sorry, it's a little bit dry here. To learn about the health aspects of eating a vegan diet as well, because I had no prior knowledge of anything to do with plant-based foods. So I read this book overnight, and it just completely shocked me, and I realized I couldn't deny what they said in the book about what happened to animals, and inevitable, I knew it was good for my health. So overnight I switched to a vegan diet, and I had no idea how to eat or what to do. So I went to a family member who I knew was interested in raw foods and vegetarianism, and so I asked for her help because I needed some guidance, and she instantly put me onto raw foods, and I watched a DVD by Victoria Butanko, and I believe it was about green smoothies, and something just clicked, and I thought, that's really clever, eating raw food. That just makes a lot of sense. And unfortunately, I didn't know anything about low-fat raw or eating fruit. I really only learned about the high-fat raw way of eating because when I searched for books, all I could find was high-fat raw, gourmet pizzas and cakes and cookies. And so I thought that was the way to do it, and I tried it, and I did it for 2 years, and I'm amazed that I actually got through 2 years of it because it didn't really feel that good. But I eventually found a way to the fruity lifestyle and the low-fat, high-fruit way of eating and living, and it was just an incredible transformation. And it's been 3 years now, so it's been a wonderful journey.
And I saw that you became very worried about the cause of animals, and you are an activist, right? I saw some pictures of you in a boat trying to save dolphins and whales, right? Can you tell us something about that too?
Yeah, actually, it really resonated with me when I did start to learn about what happened with animals. And of course, my transition to a plant-based lifestyle was health related as well, but mostly I was just really shocked and horrified by what I saw, and I couldn't understand how we allow these things to happen. And I started searching for people who were doing something about it. And I found one particular organization, and that's Sea Shepherd Conservation Society, and I latched onto them because I thought, you know what, these people are actually they stand for a cause, and that's helping marine creatures, whether it's seals or dolphins or whales or sharks, whatever it may be. But they don't just protest it, and they don't just talk about the issues. They actually stop the practices from happening. So they stop the killing of these animals. And I thought, yeah, that's exactly what I want to do. That's what I'm passionate about. Actually doing something and less talking about it and more action. That's the type of person that I am, and I like action and I like controversy. So I started volunteering for them, and I went to Taiji, Japan for the first time a couple of years ago, and it was to bear witness to the dolphin slaughter that happens there. And it wasn't much fun. I mean, it's not a very nice thing to see, and it hurts. It hurts for everyone, for the people back home who are watching, and for the people who are in Japan, who just don't agree with the dolphin slaughter. But their culture is one that doesn't really stand up to anything because they're beaten back down if they do try to stand up against anything like that. So it really sparked a passion in me because I just, I feel like I really want to help try to stop this practice, and it's just unjust. And unfortunately, the reason that it goes on is because people around the world go to marine aquariums and actually pay to see dolphin shows. And these
That's right.
dolphins come from where their families are slaughtered. And yeah, it broke my heart to see it. And so I made a commitment to keep going back to Japan to try to get it out to the public, because I knew that if we could get it out to enough people, we could stop it. We've had actually some great things happen from the campaign. We had a Chinese airline actually decide to stop transferring any dolphins or whales. So it's made leaps and bounds over the years. It has been, created, and it's the Cove Guardian campaign on the Sea Shepherd website.
Fantastic to know about this story. And were you a raw vegan even in the boat?
Yes, yes, and actually the campaign in
Cool.
Japan wasn't on, it was landlocked. But yes, I ate a raw food diet while there, and actually it was surprisingly easy. There's a lot of really great food in Japan. There's lots of fresh citrus and bananas available, so it was quite easy. There's also lots of persimmons too. And I also did some volunteer work for Sea Shepherd down in Australia as well. And yes, while I was on the boat, I also maintained a raw diet. It was a little tricky, a little tough, but I was able to do it. Yes.
Fantastic. Well, coming back to the climate part of the raw vegan diet, that you are coaching people about that, what would be the main reasons that cold climate make it harder to be on a raw vegan diet?
I think the main reason is that we have a lot of feelings and emotions that come to living in a cold climate rather. Sorry, we have memories from our childhood where it means sitting around a camp or a fire inside drinking hot chocolate, and we were raised in a way to think that the healthiest thing for us in the cold is chicken noodle soup or some other warm, comforting dish. And there's also a lot of holidays around the winter season, like Christmas and then, Thanksgiving. And so we have a lot of preconceived notions of what we love to eat in the past, and we have cravings for holiday foods. And it's a period of time I think people find very comforting, and people start to get lazy just out of habit, right? So I think habit has a lot to do with it. And so it's just kind of reconditioning your mind to think that it's okay to eat foods that aren't warm when it's cold outside. And I think people have a lot of mental blocks when it comes to that, and that's why they oftentimes need help to try to eat raw food in a cold climate. Luckily, it's only cold for about 6 months of the year, so we do get half of the year where it is nice and warm. But I find that people really do sometimes struggle in the cold to eat raw, just because sometimes the food can be cold, having a smoothie or something like that, and salads aren't necessarily warming foods. So I think that's why.
Yeah, and I am in Brazil, and I lived most of my
Ah,
life in Brazil, and here it's not so cold as in Canada, for instance. Yeah, but we do have this kind of emotional attachments as well. It's really interesting that you mentioned that. And well, we are just heading towards our winter here. What would be the advice you would give to me? I'm very worried about that, you know, and I know that you promote your products to help people all over the world. And what would be your advice to me then, please?
I would say, first off, try to find the fruits that you can find in season, the things that you can find seasonal. Hopefully, you can find some in Brazil. I would imagine you can. You're lucky, you're very, very lucky that you live down there, that you have much more access. Well, maybe that's not true. You have much more access to local foods, I would say, than we do up here in the cold. I would say, you know, for any holiday gatherings and that sort of thing, I think letting your family and friends know beforehand about your diet or your lifestyle, just to give them a heads up and maybe say, you know, I'm living this raw food lifestyle. Is there anything you'd like to try? Is there anything that is considered normal food that you'd like me to try to make a raw version of? It's always good to let your family and friends know beforehand, especially during the holiday season, so there's no shocks and there's no judgment from them, because then you can go prepared and then you can bring a raw dish that's going to be satisfying for everybody to try, and you can actually make it fun, right? Even if they still think you're a total weirdo, which oftentimes happens, it doesn't matter so much as long as they support your lifestyle and can try some of the foods you eat so that it doesn't seem so weird to them and they can realize that the foods really are delicious, right? And I'd say just try to find as much local food as you can and really just stock up on it. Make sure you're eating enough. If you do feel any cold, I don't know how cold it does get down there, but I'd say that's definitely key. And mix it up, you know, try to make different recipes so that you never get bored with your food and so you always feel satisfied.
Great advice, thank you. But our winter here is like a child's game compared to yours. Because the place where I live, it's the most cold we got here. I think it's like 8 degrees Celsius, you know, eight, just
Oh,
8.
that's amazing.
And you have 40 below, so it's just, it seems to be a
Actually,
joke.
luckily, it didn't actually get that cold this winter, thank goodness, because I was actually waiting for it to get that cold because I wanted to do a video of -40 and just, I'm actually glad that it didn't though. I don't even know if I'd want to go outside when it's that cold, but luckily it stayed around -10 to -20, so, which isn't great, but it's better than -40.
Yeah, well, but the sensation that we have with cold is something really personal, I think, right? Everyone has a different way to feel cold, and I see that my wife feels much colder than me at the same temperature. It's really strange. Well, and talking about now about the raw vegan diet, I realized that you felt a great improvement when you stopped eating high-fat raw vegan diet and started eating low-fat vegan diet, raw vegan diet. Could you tell us about this difference? Because I think it's very crucial here, right?
Yeah, I really think it is, and I see a lot of people, I just made a video about it actually, how a lot of people eat a high-fat raw diet and they think they're going in the right direction because most of the information you find, especially in mainstream media and books and that sort of thing, all, you know, they want to attract people to eating pizza and eating their favorite old foods, and unfortunately that's just not the way to go with raw food. And I was captivated by that because I went, oh great, you mean I can eat raw cheesecake now? And unfortunately, the raw cheesecake didn't make me feel any better than the cooked cheesecake had originally made me feel. So that's a topic I'm really passionate about, is trying to help people find the low-fat way of eating raw rather than going to the high-fat, because they'll save themselves so much trouble if they don't eat high-fat raw first. So I'll first tell you some of the things I experienced from a high-fat raw diet, how that made me feel, and then how I healed them with low-fat. And some of the things I did get, I got really yellow skin, and I couldn't figure out why, and I've had a few people suggest that it had something to do with my liver because of all the fat I was consuming. But I had a few family members comment that my skin looked really yellow, and they were actually getting pretty concerned. And as well, I had acne prior to that, but it seemed to get worse with all the fat and salt I was eating. And you know, I kept waiting and waiting and waiting, going, when is my skin going to heal? Because everybody on the high-fat raw diet is saying, oh yeah, in no time you'll have beautiful skin. And after a certain period of time, I just stopped believing it because I figured out it was never going to happen. And as well, I've been trying to lose weight for quite a while too, and I did lose a little bit of weight, but I still felt bloated, and I just didn't look fit. I didn't look like somebody who was healthy. I was carrying on to extra water weight, and it just didn't make me look vibrant in any way. And I also had receding gums. So before that, I had never had a cavity, never had a problem with my teeth. My teeth were perfect. I didn't have braces. Yeah, and no problems with my teeth. And all of a sudden, I started eating a high-fat raw diet. And within the first year, I went to the dentist, and he said, "You need gum grafting surgery." And I went, "What? What do you mean I need surgery?" He told me I had to have this surgery every 5 years for the rest of my life because that's how bad my gums were. They wanted to scrape tissue from the top of my mouth and sew it over my gums, which is pretty invasive in my opinion. And so I knew something had to change because I had 10 gums that were receded about 2 to 3 millimeters in my mouth. And that's pretty serious if you know anything about receding gums. And there was tons of sensitivity, and because I was still eating so much fat and salt, it was terrible. I had to use lukewarm water with everything. I couldn't have anything cold, anything hot. And to be honest, it just sucked. And it made me want to search for something else. So I found a post by Harley. He's known as Durian Rider. And because I love controversy, things that kind of have shock value, I found his post really engaging because he went against everything I thought was right. And so it attracted me to it. And I went, 30 bananas a day, isn't that crazy? But I went to it. And I realized they were speaking a truth, and they were getting a message out there that you just need to eat more fruit, and it's as simple as that. You don't need to take any special supplements or, do anything special. And it almost sounded too simple, but I like a challenge, and so I gave it a try. And it started to heal pretty quick, everything actually. And I noticed in the first week of my whole fruit and vegetable diet with very low fat content, I actually don't think I ate any fat for the first week. I noticed a huge improvement in my gums right away. And it was the biggest relief because I'd been so stressed and so worried about my gums and what I was going to do about them. And then I realized that there might actually be hope for healing them. So now I am 3 years later, and I was able to shed all of the excess weight. And I actually recently went to the dentist, and he did say that I still have some improvements to make with my teeth, but that I don't have any more receding gums, which is incredible because I was told it's impossible to heal them. So I actually don't believe anything is impossible to heal. I just think we now think that nowadays because they'd rather prescribe you surgery or medication that you can pay them for. So I experienced so many benefits. Yeah, exactly, right? So that's just the truth. They're out there to make money, and that's what it's all about. So people have to understand that they can heal themselves, but they actually have to do the work. They just have to stay consistent. And I stayed consistent, and now I feel better than ever. Like, I have so much energy. I feel like I'm about to bounce off the walls all day, and I just experience clear skin now, no acne, and I never have to worry about that. And I get to eat all the food I want, which is pretty huge for me because I enjoy eating, and any lifestyle where I can just stuff my face full of 3,000 calories worth of carbohydrates is a diet I definitely promote.
It's so cool to be able to eat without restrictions, right? And most people are so used to diet and be low and eat small amounts. It's so hard to do that. I agree with you. But I saw that you made a video these days about the reason some leaders are turning meat eaters after being raw vegans for 10 years. Could you tell us about that, please?
Yeah, you know what? That's something I feel pretty strongly about. And I just think it needs to be talked about because it's not an issue of, somebody going back to cook food. That's fine. If you need carbohydrates and you've been doing a high-fat raw lifestyle and you crave potatoes, there is a good reason you're craving potatoes, and maybe you just need those potatoes. But I feel when somebody goes back to eating meat and animal products, they forget that it's harming the animal, or they just, they don't forget, they just choose to not acknowledge it. And it changes from an issue of hurting animals and consuming animals and then they try to make it, justified by saying that they were deficient or something like that before actually trying the high carbohydrate way of life. So I take it as a pretty personal problem because it's harming animals, and that's a serious issue, and I don't understand how somebody can go from caring about it one minute to not caring about it the next minute. And I kind of got criticized for my judgment there, but I think it's really important to judge and analyze and get this message out there, because it is not just switching back to cooked foods. It is switching back to harming other beings, and that's a pretty serious issue. So I think that, you know, if we can get this message out, if we can make controversial videos like this, maybe these people will stumble upon them, the people who go back to eating animal products, and perhaps it might one day make them realize, you know, the steps that they can take to get successful on a raw diet and successful on a vegan diet. And if somebody points out the steps that they did wrong and then shows them what they could do the right way to eat this lifestyle, and I don't mean the right way, but the way that will help you succeed on this lifestyle, which is high fruit, really, then, you know, they might change their mind, or it might make them discuss it and at least think about it, right? And that's the whole point of talking about the issue of people going back to animal products, is to stimulate discussion, so that people who are following those individuals don't go back to eating animal products themselves. Because a lot of them are vulnerable, and they look at leaders, right? And they think, oh, well, if that person's eating animal products, then maybe I should be too. And that really spurred me to make the video, because I thought, no, these people have got to be read in the right direction, and they've got to know that, you know, just because somebody eats animal products again doesn't mean that they should. You know, they've still got to have compassion towards other people. So, yeah.
But the main problem is the diet itself, right? Because maybe they got it wrong, right, in the beginning.
And many of us have, so there's no shame in that. There's no problem with getting it wrong. You just have to learn from it and try a different way.
That's right. Well, and you are going to the Woodstock Fruit Festival, right? I was glad to know that. You are going to be to give a lecture there as well, right?
Yes.
Have you ever been there?
No, I haven't. This will be my first year.
Oh, that's so cool. And you are going to talk about what you most know, that about the climate. Okay.
Yeah, it's going to be called Raw Food and Cold Climates, and it's all about transitioning through the seasons and how to maintain a raw diet, or at least a high raw diet, while going through these seasonal changes with different fruits and maybe a lack of fruit, or, you know, conquering the feelings of, oh, I can't get through the holiday season, and really just kind of, you know, doing what I do with 40 Below Fruity and trying to motivate people to stay raw even when it's cold outside. So I am so excited about that.
You know, this theme that you chose is good for everyone, I think, maybe in the whole planet, because here in Brazil we have summer during Christmas. But we keep watching movies with snow, and we eat those things as well. It's crazy, don't you think so? Yeah. And we are emotionally attached to cold climate foods that are used in the North Hemisphere, and but we don't need it. We don't. It's crazy.
Yeah, and we don't need it up here either, though. Everybody just thinks they need it, and they convince themselves that they want it, and, oh, it's comforting, and nobody really needs it. Nobody needs a whole bunch of cakes and cookies and pies and stuffing and turkey, and nobody needs that food. It's just, you know, it's comforting. It's easier to pretend like they need it than to try to change their lifestyle and you know, stand out for normal people and maybe feel better. It's not normal, right? So there's a lot of emotional attachment that comes along with it.
That's it. Well, could you tell us something about your brand new product as well? The Sweet and Sexy, let me see here. Sweet and Sexy Spring Cleanse. Yeah,
absolutely. It's, you know, this is really spurred by the fact that I've been coaching some clients who have really found it tough to stay raw over the winter, and so they had to overcome lots of challenges. And I know from my Facebook page and my YouTube channel that a lot of people have struggled to stay raw over the winter for whatever reason. So I thought, well, what better time to get back on track than to do it in spring, right? Because it doesn't do anybody justice to dwell on what they weren't able to do a couple months ago. And every day we have a chance to make positive, you know, improvements in our diet and lifestyle. So I just wanted to put together a package to give people the tips that got me successful with the raw diet for the last 3 years. So I thought, okay, what do people need? Well, they need meal plans. And if they have a meal plan, they need a shopping list to know what to buy. And then they need recipes to go along with it so they can mix up their foods, experience different flavors and textures. And then I thought, you know what, I need to include videos as well because people need motivation. And when people are spoken to, they have a lot greater motivation and inspiration for that. And I also included affirmations and information about gratitude because I feel those are really important lifestyle practices that not only change your body and improve your body, but also improve your mind. Because there's so much of the raw lifestyle that is mental and overcoming mental blockages and emotions about how you feel towards food and towards yourself. I also include fitness information for helping people to find the fitness that they love most and really focusing on that. And I'm really stoked. I got professional graphics done by a woman named Jeanette Kangas from a company called Winkabilities, and she did all the rest of my graphics as well. And I'm just so happy with how the product turned out, and it's had great success so far, and I've gotten some incredible testimonials that I'm going to put up soon, and I'm just really, really excited about it. I didn't even know up until about a month and a half ago that I was going to create a product, but I really wanted to help people more, you know, and not everybody can afford coaching, so I thought it'd be much easier to sell, you know, a whole package, a whole instant digital download that they can get anywhere, right? It doesn't need shipping or anything like that. That can help them do a cleanse or just stay raw or you know, get whatever they want out of it, and to have it be easy and affordable, and that was the whole idea. So yeah, I'm really excited.
And what about your coaching? How does it work? And do you have some example to give us? Some people you help
Yeah.
with?
I've been coaching people. Mostly my clients are in North America, so either it's Canada or the USA for the most part. And yeah, I do phone consultations. I do email contact. Some people require, you know, meal plans, personalized meal plans based on the foods that they like and their current level of experience with the raw diet. Sometimes it's transitional, sometimes it's fully raw, and it totally depends on what the individual is looking for as well. And so sometimes people just need, you know, to talk to somebody, and sometimes it's on Skype, sometimes over the telephone. It really, I kind of try to tailor it to each individual's needs because every single person I find is different. And some people need recipes with certain ingredients and not other ingredients. Some people need cooked recipes. Some people need help with having to have a fully cooked or non-vegan family and then try to eat raw themselves. So it's really, I tailor it in cost and content for each individual because everybody's so different. And some people have budgets where they can't spend over a certain amount. So I try to really give them the most for the value that I can, you know, give them. So it's been really fulfilling, actually. I really enjoy it. And the clients have had a lot of success, so it's really encouraging. Really encouraging.
Fantastic. It's good to know that. Well, last question, Tara. What is your raw vegan power? You could feel you could feel the dots in the sentence. My raw vegan power is.
I say fruit. Fruit is my raw vegan power. Fruit is my power because it gives me the energy to do everything I need to do. And it has set me free. It has given me something so simple as fruit. It has given me freedom. It's given me confidence. It's given me my passion in life. It has given me the ability to be self-employed and to get out there to people and motivate people. And it's such a simple concept, which is why it's so powerful for me because I don't need anything complicated and difficult, and fruit has freed me. Fruit has allowed me to show my true power and who I truly am, and I am so thankful for that because I don't know where I'd be without fruit. So fruit is my power, absolutely.
Good, good. I am with you in that. I really think fruit is the power, raw vegan power.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Tara, for coming here and joining us today. And I really appreciate that. I hope you have lots of success with your brand new product. And by the way, you who are watching, go now to fardbelowfruity.com and see all the great stuff that Tarah Millen has to offer you, especially the sweet and sexy spring cleans. 14 days to a vibrant new you. Go there right now. Thank you, Tarah. See you later. Bye-bye.
See you. Bye.